So a couple of days ago, I received a message on Tumblr that read like this. Have you done a video on makeup products you recommend? If not, could you? I'm new to wearing makeup, so I'd really like to know your opinion on which makeup products I should get. I'd also like to know if you think certain products are expensive, if that's okay. First of all, of course it's okay. I always welcome requests and ideas, so please, always feel free to do this swimming thing in the air and also to request things. But I'm going to take this video in a little bit of a different direction. So because you specifically said that you are new to wearing makeup, I decided to kind of play with this theme a little bit and kind of do like an Abby's Makeup 101 thing, where I'm going to take you through kind of like all the steps of makeup as I do it at least, and sort of what I think is important and what you should look for. And I'm also going to make a lot of more drugstore recommendations, because I think if you're new to wearing makeup, you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on things, especially when you're just trying out. You're just starting different products. You don't know what you like yet, so you don't want to waste a whole bunch of money on something that might not work for you. So I definitely recommend starting at the drugstore, and that's why most of the products I'm going to recommend are drugstore products. Also, disclaimer before we start, I'm not a professional makeup artist in any way. I just am a person who's been doing makeup since I was like born, basically. I've been wearing makeup my whole life, so this is just kind of like my experience with what I've learned throughout an entire life of doing makeup. And I also have 3 sisters, so I mean, I got to watch them do makeup and what they use and that sort of thing. So it's just, this is all a very personal experience type thing, not a I studied for 500 years and this is what I know. Just putting that out there. So first and foremost, the most important step to makeup application is having good skin. Now, I know most of us were not blessed with really nice skin. I definitely know that I wasn't. So really what you should do is take the time to kind of figure out what your skin type is and what your skin needs are. I can't give you particular recommendations there because everyone's skin is different. You're going to have to kind of try different things, and this might be an area where I would probably suggest going maybe a little bit higher end, just because if you go to, like, say, I'll use Sephora as my example. Most Sephora locations have their own skincare expert on hand, so you could go to Sephora and be like, hey, look at my skin, you know, do that skin ID thing and kind of tell them what some of your skin problems are, and they can help you assess that and help find products that fit your skin type and what you need to help make your skin look its best. So for me, if you do want to know what I use the Boscia Clear Complexion Toner and the cleanser as well, because it just really helps keep my acne under control. And then lately I've been trying the Josie Maran Argan Milk after that to kind of put moisture back in my skin, because my skin is very dry, and sometimes it's combo. Sometimes I get really oily, like right here in the middle of my forehead and a little bit down my nose, but the rest of my face is super dry. So I use the Argan Milk on the whole rest of my face, and I use this Origins Super Spot Remover on my like zits, but I use a whole bunch of different things on my zits. I kind of try to alternate it so that my skin never gets too used to one thing. So I use this. I often will use the Proactive Mask. I use this little zit zapper from e.l.f. Like, I use a lot of different things, and I just kind of switch it up, so figure out what works best for your skin. And then, of course, after that, I use a moisturizer, and I use the Sephora Collection Intensive Instant Moisturizer. This is actually not very expensive. It's only like $20, I think. I used to use the regular Sephora moisturizer, but it felt like it wasn't moisturizing enough, so I had to switch to the intensive one, and I really, really like this. Now, this next step depends on what kind of look you're going for. So if you just want a really light, sheer coverage and maybe a little bit extra moisture in your face, forego primer and foundation and go with a BB cream or like a tinted moisturizer. Some of my favorites that I've tried, because I've had a lot of like samples. My favorite was probably the tinted moisturizer by Tarte. I tried their BB cream as well, but I didn't like it as much. I felt like it dried like really matte, like it didn't give me a lot of moisture, and it looked kind of chalky after. I wasn't a huge fan, but the tinted moisturizer is really nice. I also really like Boscia's BB cream. I have this little sample size here. Physicians Formula, in their like organic line, they have a BB cream, and I really like that one as well. My mom and my sister both use the Garnier BB cream, and they both really like that. That one I can't speak from personal experience, but I know that they've both been using that for like a year and a bit, and they both like it. So there's that one, and I haven't used this one myself either, but I hear lots of good things about the Maybelline Dream Wonder BB cream. A lot of people really like that one. So again, it depends on what you want and also what you're going to be able to find your coloring. I know that BB creams are often awful with their color selection, so if you are a person of color, it's probably going to be very hard to find a BB cream, but You can do it. I believe in you. Makeup companies should cater to you more often, and I don't know why they don't. But yeah, like I was saying, if you do want like lighter coverage, BB cream is probably the way to go. Now, if you do want a little more coverage and you want, you know, the primer, foundation, the whole full face deal, can't say I blame you. I kind of love it. Primer is, again, kind of dependent on what kind of look you want in your skin. So personally, because I said I'm kind of oily in the middle of my forehead and down my nose, right? So my pores there are kind of big. So I like to use a sort of pore blurring and line blurring type primer there, and a moisturizing primer on the rest of my face. So actually what I've been using lately is the Maybelline Baby Skin primer right here, and then I use the Maybelline primer in Blur and Illuminate on the rest of my face. Now, the Blur and Illuminate primer is probably not for everyone. It does kind of have a little bit of a purple sheen, but personally, I think that's great. I love the purple sheen. I'm not about the gold highlight that everyone else is about, but I love the purple. And so that is what I use. I don't use any fancy brand primers. One primer that I did try that was high end that I really did like was the Too Faced Hangover RX primer. But that primer is $40 for a bottle of primer, and I'm just not into that. I'm not going to spend that much money on a primer. Another primer that I really do like is the Makeup Forever Hydrating Primer, because I do need that moisture. That is another $40 primer, but you can buy the smaller sizes, and those are only $20, I think. And you only need the smallest little bit of that primer. A little bit goes a long way. So I've had that $20 primer for months now, and it's not going anywhere. So that one is definitely worth it. I would never buy the full size. But I really do think that there are more and more primers from the drugstore that are worth looking at. Maybelline is probably your best bet. Like I said, I use the Blur and Illuminate, but there's a bunch of different ones. There's like blurring and smoothing, and like there's a bunch of different ones. Look at those depending on the kind of finish that you want. Now, for foundation, I'm going to be straight up with you here and tell you that I do not think you need to go Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, $90 for a foundation. I think the drugstore has a ton of really, really great foundations. My personal favorite for a while now has been the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin, both because it's really light coverage, and I like light coverage, and also because it's got a lot of good stuff in it. It's supposed to help make your skin look nicer, and I'm all about that, make my skin nice life. I really like that one. And I've tried a whole bunch of other ones that are really good. So the L'Oreal Infallible foundation, that foundation tends to be very, very yellow undertoned. So I bought it once, and I really couldn't wear it very long because it just doesn't match me because I'm so, like, cool-toned, pinky gray undertones. But I really like the coverage of that foundation, and it is very, very matte finish. So if your skin is as dry as mine, matte finish is probably not the best for you, but if you can pull it off, that foundation is so nice, and it's very full coverage. That one and the Rimmel Stay Matte foundation are both very, very full coverage from the drugstore, nice foundations, and very matte. So if that's what you're looking for, check them out. Beyond that, I haven't tried a lot of other foundations from the drugstore, simply because I just haven't had to, you know what I mean? I do have higher end a little bit. I have my Tarte foundation, the Amazonian Clay one, and I love that. That's actually what I'm wearing today. And I do love that one. It is very expensive. It is $55 for a foundation, which is not something I would usually do either, but I just love this one so much that for me it was worth it. But like I said, there's a lot of really, really great drugstore foundations, so just look at the kind of finishes you want. And I also think it's very important to take color into account, because a lot of drugstore foundations don't do big ranges of colors, so look for, what might match you best, and then finish and coverage amount, and you'll be good. So next we're going to move on to eyebrows. I think with eyebrows it is most important to figure out what you need and what color your eyebrows are, because it is kind of hard to find certain colors of stuff to fill in your eyebrows at the drugstore and high-end, to be honest. And so if you are a person with naturally very, very thick, gorgeous eyebrows, people of color come to mind immediately. A lot of you have like the nicest eyebrows ever, and my little sparse balding eyebrows they scream with jealousy. You might even only need a clear brow gel. You could pull off one of those, and that might be all you need, just to keep the hairs from being unruly and crazy. Maybe that's all you need, Or like a tinted gel. I can't think of any brands, particularly at the drugstore, that do a good tinted brow gel, but I know that there's a lot of clear ones, and even then you could go with like a clear mascara and use that on your eyebrows, you know? If you need maybe just a little bit extra, like you just need some extra like fibers in your eyebrows to make it look like you have a little more hair, that's kind of when the Benefit Gimme Brow comes into play. Now, Benefit Gimme Brow only comes in two colors, light and dark, and the dark is like medium dark brown, and the light's like blondish. So the color selection there is awful. But basically what it does is it has little fibers that like cling to your eyebrow hairs to make them look like they have more hairs. The L'Oreal Brow Stylist Plumper is what I think it's called. That does a very similar thing, and that's from the drugstore. But both of these are kind of, they come in universal shades. So unless you have a hair color that can fit that category, you're kind of out of luck there. For me, I had to go high-end. I had to go Anastasia Beverly Hills because I was having a really hard time finding drugstore eyebrow products that came in black. So I used the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in Granite. And I also use the Blink Cosmetics Eyebrow Mousse. It works similar to one of those like fiber things. And I use that in black. When that runs out, I think I'll probably just switch to the ABH Brow Gel in black. Granite, I think is what it's called. Rather than this fibery one. But again, I have to go high end because black hair. But I don't think anyone who doesn't have such artificially colored hair needs to go high end. I think there's a lot of options in the drugstore. There's also the option of like filling in your brows, like on your skin, basically, up in the bald spot. Personally, I don't necessarily think that's as important as other people make it to be. I don't think you need to do that. I think coating the hairs that are there for most people is often good enough. But if you need to do that, the drugstore does have a wide variety of pencils. Some brands are better than others. Usually go with your gut on that one. Like, usually I would trust Maybelline or like Revlon or L'Oreal over Wet n Wild when it comes to pencils. But just look for your color and what you think is going to work best. Elf is one of my favorite makeup brands. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that. I know that Elf isn't as available as internationally. It's pretty international, but it's not everywhere. So I'm going to try to mention it a little bit less in this video. But Elf does have a little eyebrow kit, and there's like a wax on one side and a powder on the other, so you can like paint the wax on in the bald spots and then put the powder on over top to kind of set everything. And I really like that kit. Unfortunately, it doesn't come in black, so now I can't really use it anymore. But that's a good kit. Now, next is concealers. So I'm going to give you a really good rule of thumb when it comes to concealers here. Now, obviously, this isn't the end-all and be-all. There are a couple of brands that decided to break the rules. But for the most part, when a concealer comes in a little pot, it's for your, like, spots and your dark spots and your, like, zits and that sort of thing. And when a concealer comes in a little thing with a twisty-oppy cap and a doe foot applicator, that usually means it's for your under eyes. So if you stick to that, you'll probably be safe. I see so many people, especially on YouTube, using like a MAC concealer that's in a little pot under their eyes, and then they get mad that it's, you know, too thick and it's creasing and it's this and that and the other, and that's because it's not meant for there. When it comes to concealers for spots and zits and stuff, I'm going to be honest with you here, I'm not the most versed in this area because when I have a zit or two or whatever, I don't really bother covering it that much. You can know I have a zit. It's not something that I find self-conscious because I'm not covered. I only have like a couple. Then it's, you know, I'm not super worried about it. And then also I usually can just get away with just layering a little extra foundation on that spot. So I don't know a whole lot about this particular kind of concealer, but I do know that I have the little pot of MAC concealer, and I really do like that one. I've tried a couple of other concealers, and I've yet to find one for zits that is like that strongly pigmented right off the bat. So if that's something that you are looking for, I actually do recommend going and checking out the MAC one. I haven't found a drugstore equivalent yet. But for your under eyes, if you're like me and your under eye circles can be kind of bad sometimes, you might want to look into a corrector maybe. So basically the orangey, salmony type tones will counteract the blue and cancel them out so that you look much brighter under your eyes. Now, if you're a beginner at makeup, assuming you are, you definitely don't have to do this. It's not necessary. You can not even worry about it. I don't even worry about it half the time. It's also quite easy now to find drugstore concealers that are already a little bit extra orangey toned, so that might be enough for you. Some concealers for your under eyes that I really recommend. I actually really like the e.l.f. under eye concealer. It's got the highlighter on the other end and the concealer on the other end. That one is really nice. I really like that one, and I find that I never have problems with that one creasing or anything. That one's a solid concealer. I also really like the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin Concealer for under eyes. Yes, I use the concealer and the foundation. That one's really, really nice. I also really like the Maybelline Age Rewind. I didn't like it at first, but Now I kind of use it in conjunction with my Bobbi Brown corrector. I know, Bobbi Brown corrector. I didn't really like my Bobbi Brown corrector the first couple times I used it, but now I just know that I have to be very, very, very sparing with it. Like only the smallest little bit, or else it does get too thick for my under eyes. So just a little bit, and then this Maybelline Age Rewind on top of it. Good to go. Now, of course, it's something that a lot of people like to do on YouTube, and for makeup beginners, this is actually something that I would recommend. You don't really need to worry about eyeshadow primers. I would just continue your concealer all the way up onto your eyelid, assuming that you didn't go too much lighter with your concealer for your under eyes. That's another thing that I forgot to mention. When it comes to your spot concealer, make sure it's the same color as the rest of your face. That's why sometimes it's better to stick with the same brand for your face concealer as your foundation, because it might be easier to color match. So you want everything to look really even, but for your under eyes, you can get away with going a shade lighter just to kind of brighten things up. Not much more than a shade though, because you don't want to look, stark white under your eyes compared to the rest of your face. But anyway, back to what I was actually saying. You can continue your concealer up onto your eyelid and use that as your eye primer, and then you set that with powder, and your eyeshadow is going to go on much nicer. So the powder that I use all over my face is actually the big e.l.f. HD powder. Personally, I have yet to find a drugstore powder that I really like, so this is just kind of the one that I'm using. The only powder that I've ever tried that I really liked, and it's actually the powder that other people on YouTube adore, and it is the Laura Mercier translucent loose powder. Now, my problem with that powder is that is a $46 powder, and that's expensive, and I am likely to drop it because I'm a klutz, and if you drop a loose powder, there's no coming back from that. That is everywhere, and that is $46 I have wasted. So I would like to find a drugstore equivalent. I just haven't yet. I'm trying though. I'll let you know if I ever find one. The e.l.f. HD powder, it's a decent powder. It definitely does leave a white cast. So if you were as, absolutely white clown face paint pale as I am, then the white cast is not so bad. But for anybody with even any sort of pigment in their skin, I probably wouldn't recommend it. There's a tinted version as well, but I don't know how I feel about that. So that's just the powder that I use. When you find a powder though, you're going to want to set your under eyes, and unless you have the driest skin ever, you're probably going to want to set your entirety of your foundation just to make sure that it lasts all day and it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so next, eyeshadow. Now, some people might disagree with me on this, but I actually think buying one good eyeshadow palette that you can use all the time is a really good investment, a good expensive investment. So personally, I have other palettes now, but my expensive investment palette when I first was I want to seriously start doing makeup was the Tarte Tartelette palette, because it is all matte and it is basically cool tones. I don't look as good in warm tone colors. I'm just very naturally cool toned in my undertones. So I saw this palette and I immediately fell in love with it, and it is an expensive palette. That's a $55 palette, and I bought it anyway, and I honestly use that palette probably every day. That was a really solid investment for me. So my recommendation would be look through different companies and all that stuff and find a palette that really speaks to you, a palette that you look at and you're like, wow, realistically, I would use every color in this. Beyond that, you can go to the drugstore and get lots of Wet n Wild palettes and try out L'Oreal eyeshadows and all that sort of stuff. The drugstore does tend to be kind of shimmery, kind of sparkly, so I would recommend, if you're going high end for one palette, try to stick to a Kat Von D one, or a Tarte one, or the Urban Decay Naked Basics, something that has a lot of mattes in it, a lot of good quality mattes, so that you can branch out and try lots of drugstore shimmers and glitters and stuff. But that's just my opinion. If you're into 100% glitter sparkle, go for it. You have a blast. We're getting near the end here. So next is eyeliner. There are basically three different types of eyeliner. There's liquid, there's gel, there's pencil. If you are a super remedial beginner at makeup, I would recommend starting with pencil, just because it's kind of the safest. It's the easiest to wipe off. If you poke yourself in the eye, it's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna get everywhere like liquid will. I would definitely recommend using a twist up or any kind of creamy eyeliner rather than a wooden one. Wooden ones are just kind of hard to use. I find often on your eye they tug and they pull and they just kind of hurt, especially if you go with a cheap brand. L'Oreal has a couple of different eyeliners now. I think of the Smoke Kissimmee eyeliner. I think that one's kind of a coal gel pencil. So if you want more of a smoky sort of eyeliner look, that one's great. But I'm sure that if you were very, very strict with it, you could probably make it really sharp too. Good gel eyeliner is a little bit harder to find. The Maybelline gel eyeliner is so good. I had that one, but I left it open once and I had to throw it out because it dried out. But that one is really, really good. That was actually the one that I think most people prefer, even like makeup artists, over the Bobbi Brown ones and over those fancy ones. The Maybelline one is the way to go. And then last but not least, liquid eyeliner. Personally, my favorite liquid eyeliner is the Essence liquid eyeliner. You see me use it in like every video because it's just the best, and it's $3. I also had the NYC liquid eyeliner for like a day before I lost it, and I did really like that one. So there's another like $2 one for you. And honestly, I like both of those eyeliners better than high-end ones. I tried the Stila one once, and it just wasn't dark enough. Now that I'm so used to my liquid eyeliners like going on and being harsh black right to begin with, I don't like having to build it up. I'm lazy. Next is mascara. So basically, if you've ever been in the makeup section of a store ever, you know that mascara is like this endless abyss. I could never tell you about all of them, but for the most part, I think when it comes to mascara, it is important to, again, identify what you need and what you want out of a mascara. So for me, my eyelashes are already pretty thick, they're already pretty long. What I need from a mascara is to help hold the curl, because I don't have like any curl in my eyelashes. So the only drugstore mascara I've ever found that really did that alright is the Maybelline Colossal Cat Eye. That one kind of holds the curl, but even still, because I do need curl, my eyelashes like basically hang flat. I do have to go high end for my mascaras, so I really would recommend, if you are like me, go for the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara. That one is so good. That one really, really holds the curl of my eyelashes. Like, wow. And then the other high-end mascara that I really recommend is kind of the jack of all trades. It gives you all three better than any other mascara I've tried, is the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. I love that one. That one gives you the length and the volume and the curl. Some other drugstore mascaras that I recommend, if you need volume, go with the L'Oreal Voluminous mascara. I use the original, but everyone else and their mother uses the carbon black one. It's up to you which one you want. That one will really, really bump up the volume in your eyelashes. Holy moly. And then another mascara that I really like, it definitely helps with volume, not to the extent that the L'Oreal one does, but it's a little more natural looking, is the CoverGirl Lash Blast Mascara. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I'll have a picture like right here. It's the one in the pink bottle. I know a lot of people don't like the pink one, they like the orange one better, but I like the pink one. Staying on the subject of eyelashes, I definitely think that most people, whether they realize it or not, need an eyelash curler. Eyelash curler just like changes the whole game. Like, even if you already have naturally curled eyelashes, this will just make it way more intense. Now, you can disagree with me here if you want to, but personally, I think, especially if you're a beginner with makeup, it is safest to just go and get maybe a little higher end eyelash curler to begin with, because too many times have I seen people try like a dollar store or Walmart eyelash curler, and right off the bat, it chops their lashes. How scary is that, right? Like, bye. So my eyelash curler is actually a hot pink one, and it's from the Sephora collection. So I think it was probably less than 20 bucks. I've had it for like a year now already, and I use it every day, right? So it's like, it's a solid investment. Almost done. Almost done. So next we go to cheeks. Now, I don't really want to talk too much about contouring. I think that there's definitely a way to contour and highlight at like a drugstore level, but I have my own video separate on how I use the e.l.f. contour kit and then how I contour and highlight, so I'll actually just link that video below rather than going on and on about it for forever. But as far as blushes go, I found this like big palette of matte blushes. I've talked about it before at Forever 21 that I adore. So if I can find it again, I'll link it below so that you can buy it, because it's only like 10 bucks Canadian, and I will never probably buy another blush again because I just love that one so much. Beyond that, though, some other blushes that I really like is Hard Candy has this like line of baked blushes. Hard Candy is a brand that you can only get at Walmart, and I really like those baked blushes. They're like shiny without being glittery or sparkly. Those are really nice. I really recommend those. And then Rimmel also has a lot of really great blushes that come in like little rectangular type packages. They look really basic, but those are really pigmented and really nice. I have 2 of them, and I've had them for years. 10 out of 10, would recommend. And last, but certainly not least, lips. Now, with lips, it kind of depends on if you want to be high maintenance or not. Personally, I am a lipstick addict. I will wear lipstick all day, every day, all the time, even if it means I have to fix it up a million times. So I'm probably the wrong person to come to about this. But if you just want like a tinted lip balm, you go for it. There's a cajillion different brands do tinted lip balms. I know that the e.l.f. ones are really nice, and they're very pigmented, and I think they even have a little bit of SPF in them. So I really like those ones. I don't really know a whole lot about gloss either because I'm just not a huge lip gloss wearer, but I do have one or two of the Milani lip glosses, and those are very, very nice. They're not sticky, they're just shiny, and that's why I don't really use lip glosses, because more often than not I find that they're very sticky and I just can't deal. But as far as lipstick is concerned, there's a couple that I really like from the drugstore. I really like the Kate Moss lipsticks, both in the red packaging and the black packaging. That's from Rimmel. I just love those. Love the Maybelline Superstay 14-hour lipsticks. Those are so nice. I love the Wet n Wild long-lasting lipsticks. That's like the craziest color range ever, and they're like $2 and they last forever. They're so, so nice. And then if you want to go a little bit higher end because you're like me and you just want to own a million different lipsticks, I really recommend ordering some of the Ofra long-lasting liquid lipsticks. I don't know of any stores you can buy these in. Maybe they have them where you are. I don't know of any store where you can buy these. Maybe they have them where you are, but I really, really, really love these. And I really like Kat Von D's lipsticks, not the liquid lipsticks. I don't like those, but the actual like lipsticks in the tube, I really like those. And I really like the Sephora Cream lip stains. I basically bounce back and forth between those three: the Kat Von D lipsticks, this, and the Sephora Cream lip stains every day. I'll mention lip liner really quickly, but personally I really only feel like I need a lip liner when I'm wearing a lipstick that is maybe hydrating, just to help stop my lipstick from feathering. My favorite lip liners are the MAC lip liners, the like wooden ones. I just really like those ones, and I also really like the Milani lip liners, so those are more your drugstore option. The Milani lip liners are very, very similar to the MAC ones, just they don't have the color range, and they're cheaper. So, I mean, up to you. They're very creamy, and they're very easy to glide on, and I really do feel like they help with the longevity of my makeup. So that's it. That's all. Sorry this video was so long, but I had a lot of information. I even wrote it all down here, and I just wanted to like get it out there. So those are some products that I recommend, how I use it, what I think. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. If you have any other product recommendations, I'd love to hear those as well. And if you have any ideas for any future videos, please let me know, because I would love so, so, so much to make them. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!